Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Volmer. And today I've got a small layout update for you. It mainly involves vehicles. But before we start, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who wished me a happy birthday this weekend, either via Facebook or whether it was done through private messaging. I'm really grateful and thankful to have so many people contact me and to wish me well. And also because I haven't been too well recently, that a lot of people had even contacted me just to see how I was doing. So I'm really grateful, and so thank you for everybody who took the time out of their day to wish me a happy birthday, and whether it be on Facebook or via private messaging, it's really, or YouTube. Like I said, it's all very welcome and appreciated. And also I'd like to thank anybody who's recently joined. And also I had some really lovely comments about my last video that I put up when we had a revisit of Beringer Station and how it was going to affect Mildenhall Volmer, because that went down really well as well. So to start off this video, it's like I said, it is mainly about vehicles, and there's quite a few new buses have turned up on the layout. Now, excuse me, I have made a start on the big project, which is to extend the layout, but I'm going to put that on a separate video because this video in itself is going to take quite a bit of time. So rather than just really elongate the video and make it really huge, we'll just stick to what we have here today, but we will briefly touch upon it because I've got a few bits that will kind of link what I'm planning on doing together, so I'll show you those. One of the first things I'm going to show you is a Hornby 66. This particular Hornby 66 was one of the first 66s that I'd weathered, and I'd weathered it using powders because I wasn't so sure what I was doing, and I thought I'd just weather it and powders can come off if you need to take it off. As it so happens, I was pleased with the results and I left it on. However, the powder didn't stay on very long because I didn't really seal it. So I have been weathering. Obviously you guys know that I have been sort of tackling some weathering, either through some of my wagons or some of my locos. So I basically revisited this 66 and redid it, and I'm much happier with the results. And I will take some photographs and so you can see it in sort of more better detail, but it is kind of a lot more, the bottom part is a lot more grimier, and even the sides is more grimier. So it's just generally more dirtier and more sort of look like it's had a working life. And like I said, with these Hornby 66s, because they tend to look quite basic, shall we say, out of the box, it doesn't, in my view, it does no harm just to sort of accentuate what it does have and just try and sort of create a decent model out of it. Because like I said, they just basically give you the basics, and then this is just what I've done just to sort of upgrade it, in my view anyway, because this is how I sort of like to see it, especially the Hornby 66s, because like I said, they do look quite basic, so they do need at least some basic work just to sort of take the sort of plastic side of it out of the equation. So that's how it is, but like I said, I'll take a few photographs from that. Also, like I said, I do have a number of buses that have turned up to the layout. This one I'm about to show you is on the Route 11, and I've shown you this bus before. It's a Volvo Wright Eclipse Gemini 1. I haven't had the pleasure of driving these, but I've always liked the look of the Gemini 1s. I don't like the Gemini 3s, by the way, if any of you know what they are. I don't really like the Gemini 3 versions. I think they look too blocky. But the original ones I really do like. And even the Gemini 2s I don't mind either. I haven't got one of those, but I'm hoping to get hold of one. But anyway, you've seen this one as a Route 11. And the Route 11 means a bit to me because my family, this runs from Fulham all the way to Liverpool Street. And I have connections at both ends of this route. I used to live around Hackney Wick, and I used to do the 388 route, which used to run through Liverpool Street, which used to pass the 11, and I used to see the 11 quite a lot. I've ridden the 11 on so many times to go to Victoria Coach Station when I used to live with my mum, to do a lot of model railway exhibitions, and my mum lives towards the Fulham Broadway end, which is where this bus terminates. So that's why I have connections with the Route 11. So that being said, I managed to come across an updated version of the Route 11. So they don't use the Gemini ones anymore because they're on 53 plates, 52 plates. And so obviously they're quite old now, so a lot of them have been upgraded, and these ones have all been sold off. However, that being said, it's still perfectly adequate for my layout because I sort of run between the 2000s and now, so I'm not really too fussed. So I managed to come across this on eBay, and as soon as I saw it, I said, right, I've got to have it. So again, it's on the Route 11, but this time it's a plain Boris Master, which is something I actually wanted for the layout. Because I have got two other Boris Masters, but they were both special liveries. One with the Coca-Cola, the other one was the London General special livery. This was a plain livery. This is plain London Transport livery with the go-ahead logos, but it's basically red London Transport bus, and it is showing the destination blind for Fulham Broadway on the Route 11. So as soon as I saw this, it's like, it's got to come here. It's a lovely bus, and like I said, I really wanted a Boris Master in the plain London Transport red colours, as opposed to a lot of the special liveries that they tend to do. So also that arrived on the layout is something else that also resonates with me. And this is something that I don't actually have on the layout until today. And this was my first one. And this is a MMC. And this is by Northcourt. And if I can get this thing out, I'll show it to you. Now, this particular bus, I don't know if I can get it out. Yeah, that's it. It comes out like that. Okay, good. So this particular MMC, it's absolutely stunning. It's really modern, really up-to-date bus, and it's on the Route 14, and the Route 14 actually goes to Warren Street. Now, when I used to travel on the 14, and again this bus resonates with me a lot, it used to go as far, it went to Tottenham Court Road, so it's been extended to Warren Street. At the other end of its route, it used to run to Putney Heath, which is where the connection lies with my part of the world, the southwest part of the world, with the 11, because it meets at Fulham Broadway. And so again, because it resonates with me, and also it is an MMC, it's a stunning vehicle, honestly, it's absolutely beautiful. And I actually think that these MMCs really suit the red London Transport livery, I really do. So that is just like absolutely stunning. Unfortunately, these buses do kind of push the boat out in terms of its pricing. The prices of these buses have really shot up, and they really are pretty expensive. And some of them are quite rare, and because they are quite rare and collectible, these buses do command sort of really quite high prices. Then I've had a comment by a YouTuber. I can't remember who it was. So somebody said to me, are you going to put any people or do any detail into your buses? And in truth, I would like to, but one of the things about these, especially these new buses, they're very hard to get into. And then I didn't really want to start sort of taking drills and Dremels and things to try and get into them, you know, and then risk damaging what I already have and then still not get the results I want. So the new ones, I can't. Unfortunately, the buses, unlike the trains, you know, they're designed to remove the body so you can put a decoder in, and then at the same time, if you want to fit a driver, you can fit a driver in. Buses aren't built that way. They're built generally with rivets, and they're quite difficult to get hold of. This is like I said, my Boris Master. If you look underneath, it's like you've got to rivet it all out to get to it. And quite frankly, I'd rather not take the chance. I don't want to damage the bus or anything like that. And it's the same with and they're Corgi ones. North cords are the same, which is what this MMC is, that I've just showed you. So they're tricky to get into as well. The EFE ones tend to be the easiest. Now, a little while ago, I've shown you before, Gary over at Cheeky Tech had given me some vehicles, and he'd given me a single decker Metroline pointer dart, which is this little dart here. And I've since had a go at giving this some work and some detailing, and it looks so much better for it. And I've actually converted it into a training vehicle, and I've actually trained on this very vehicle. Not the actual number plate itself, but I've actually trained on one of these Metroline pointer darts, but not this particular vehicle. So I got to thinking, and I've got some photographs of my training vehicle, which I'll show you, and but I'll also show you some other photographs. But I managed to find some decals on eBay and for it, and so I've now converted it. I've put a driver in it, I've put an instructor in it, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. So the first thing I did to this bus is there's actually silver or whatever aluminium wheels on it, and they were originally blue, so I painted them out. I don't know if you can see the interior, but the interior has also been painted. You can see it was just a really just horrid sort of plastic colour. I can't remember what it was now, but basically I've painted it in a grey, and then I've added the red seating in it, which is how the pointed darts came when they were originally outshot. And I don't know if you can notice, but there's also some green handrails in it. I'm not sure if you can spot it. I think you can spot it on the back, that there's a green handrail just at the back and probably just along the side. So again, I took it out because these are EFE ones, and I sort of drilled out the sort of covers or caps that were underneath. There's 3 of them. There's one there, and one there, and that allowed me to remove the base to be able to get into it. And the EFE ones seem to be the ones that are a little bit easier. You can also see that I've put a driver in here at the front here. He's the learner driver that I've put in here. And if you take you to the front, hopefully you can see the green handrail, and maybe you can make out that there's an instructor standing next to him. I don't know if you can see him. I think you can. There he is. And I've got some L plates on the front of this bus, and it also says driver under instruction on the blind. Now hopefully this is all coming out. So that makes it out like it's a learner vehicle. The guy he's driving, he's under instruction by the guy who's standing next to him, and he's guiding him and telling him what to do, and just checking his driving to see if he's okay to make the grade, as it were. Like I said, I have actually trained on one of these vehicles, and I'll show you some photographs at the end. And on the back, I've also put a driver under instruction on the back as well. Like I said, these were the decals that I managed to get from eBay, and that makes this slightly older bus a kind of relevant vehicle because they do train on older buses, although now they probably would be training on some newer versions of these type of pointer darts, which is what they do nowadays. Now, I have to say, we're going to now sort of touch on this sort of new project of the extension. And I'm going to show you a bus now that was, we're going to kindly sort of have a few words about my dear friend, John Warner. I love him to pieces. I love the work that he does. And if you see his latest video, I'll tell you, it's just, I don't know how he does it sometimes, honestly. Patience of a saint is all I'm going to say. But some time ago, I can't even remember, he got me this gift, and it's been a while now. And so he bought me this Leyland Lynx. and he gave it to me, and he sent it over to me, and it's basically a London Country links. So it's sort of London based, but sort of one of those kind of suburbs thing, not London, but just sort of. And now with the extension, the idea is to sort of try and subtly extend the layout from sort of London region sort of thing, where the main buses are and the main layout is. And as the layout sort of comes out, that it's going to sort of go out into the suburbs and then out into the countryside. So then the bus stops, any bus stops that I put out, and any buses will then become sort of reflect the fact that it's not part of London anymore. So there's this kind of subtle kind of scene. So like things like the back scene and stuff like that, where a lot of it is kind of urban based at the moment, lots of buildings and everything on the main layout. But the idea is to then sort of subtly sort of bring it out where there's less houses and more greenery. And so all of these little things will sort of tie in to reflect that you're coming on this journey from one point to the next, and you're sort of going through different periods, as it were. You know, you're going from the town scene to the sort of slightly outer outskirts, and then you're going into the country scene kind of thing. So it's kind of just, so this is one of those vehicles which can kind of sort of, it won't probably be moved away from the main layout, but put further down somewhere to reflect the fact that you're kind of coming out of London and out towards the suburbs and out into the countryside. So he said, so that's what I'm going to do with that. So I was chatting to John this week, and because we talk very regularly, and I explained to him that I mean, many of you will know that I've been trying to sort out my passport issues and ID issues with the Portuguese embassy and all the rest of it. And it turns out that that's moved on. And I was explaining this to John and saying, "Oh, it's a really lovely early birthday present. You know, I'm really pleased, you know, that it's finally going to be sorted, you know, and I've got confirmation that I'm going to be able to pick up my ID." So he said, "Oh, so when's your birthday then?" And he said to me, so I said to him, "Oh, it's on Saturday." And he said, "Oh, okay." And we carried on chatting for a little while, and then we sort of said our goodbyes. And then I think a day later or something, he contacted me and said to me, "Look, there's something on its way to you." So as a birthday gift, I received a box from Hatton's, and so John, I have received it, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. Like I said, I really wasn't expecting anything, and he's just such a good friend of mine, and I just love him to bits. Got lots of time for him, and I'm always in admiration of his work. And so thank you so much. So he got me 2 gifts. It was 2 little boxes. Now one was this little plain white courier van, which is cool because I was actually thinking of getting another one. I've got one already, which I converted to Freightliner, fleet support vehicle. But I was actually going to get another one of these because we actually use these at work. So obviously the engineers pop down to sort out any issues with our buses. And this is the sort of vehicle that they use. So this one will probably get converted to some sort of fleet support vehicle for our buses kind of thing. So that's what might happen with this bus, well, with this van here, I should say. So thank you, John, for that. So that's what's going to happen with that. But that wasn't all. This also arrived, and I looked at this and I was like, what could this be then? And it's just like really, really cool. And again, I have a bit of a love, as you all know. I don't know what it is with me in vehicles, but I do have a bit of a love for my trucks. And so he got hold of this tractor unit for me, which is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stunning. and it is so beautiful, honestly. Love it to bits. I know exactly what I'm going to do with it, because I've got the Sainsbury's Arctic currently, and actually, hang on there and I'll show it to you. So I've got this Sainsbury's Arctic lorry which I've converted, and that's how it is. And it's so I'd converted this. This was another trailer, and I converted it from I can't remember now, but I did do a piece on it on one of my earlier videos. And when I bought it, it came with a different tractor unit, and what had happened is I ended up buying this one, and this is also a Scania, but this Scania is like a basic Scania, and at the time I couldn't actually find one with the air dam. So most Sainsbury's lorries that I see when I'm especially when I do the 8 route, because we go past the big Sainsbury's on the 8, so we do see a lot of these Sainsbury's Arctics knocking about. And as you can see, they're both Scanias, but one's got the air dam on it all the way around, you see. And a lot of these Sainsbury's lorries do have the air dam version. And as you can see, this one's more of a sort of plain basic cab unit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace this cab unit with this tractor unit, and that will look better and more appropriate for Sainsbury's than the plain one. And the plain one I can just use as one that's just been either parked up, or I can use it for something else. I do have another slight idea on this, and this is another idea that's come from Behringer, but I'm just kind of going to keep that to one side for the moment, because I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that. So that's that. So again, so John, thank you so much. Amazing gifts and amazing friendship, you know, yeah. And I hope to see you soon, to be honest. So again, so sort of going on the theme of bringing the layout out and extending it out to the countryside, I'm going to show you another couple of bits that it's going to be used for the extension that I've got going on, or that I'm going to be doing. So at the other end of my layout now, the extension, and I haven't actually given it a name at the other end, but basically what I'm going to be doing is like I said, going to put another station at the other end of the flat, and like I said, we're going to have a journey, an engineering journey, which means that the trains are going to run from the main layout back round behind me, round the flat, and back towards the bedroom end, and create a station and for the yard at the station at the bedroom end. And like I said, the idea is to sort of create the sort of London suburban scene at this end to the country end at the other end. So bearing that in mind, and I did say there was another vehicle, and this turned up this morning, and this particular vehicle again has meaning to me. It actually runs outside my front door. It literally runs from Alton Station out to Winchester, and it runs on the Route 64. I've travelled on these. I've been to Winchester for many training courses and done a lot of training in Winchester. So this is another MMC, absolutely stunning vehicle. Like I said, Northcord have done a fantastic job. They do command high prices, but I think when you look at the detail, you know, you can sort of see where the money is, and you can see where the engineering goes into producing these things. So here is the Stagecoach MMC Enviro 400. It's on a 64 route out to Winchester, and it's absolutely stunning vehicle. It really is. So from the London buses at this side, we're going to have this bus at the other end, and then the sort of London country one sort of somewhere in the middle. That's kind of like the sort of idea. Now, like I said, I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to tie in together yet, because I haven't formulated the whole big plan. I have made a start on it, and I do, intend on going through with it. But there's still some sort of, as you can appreciate, some engineering thought that needs to go into it to work out how everything's going to fit together. So lastly, to show you in terms of items here before we go to the layout, is I wanted to make the layout extension a bit more interesting and not just have it, I wanted to keep it relatively narrow and small and easy because I don't want it to dominate the whole flat. But I also wanted to add some interesting features to it. And so I want to add like an embankment and things like that. And I wanted to add a bridge. And so I've bought a bridge, and this is, like I said, going to be for the new section. And this is a Bachmann 440017. And here it is. I have opened it, I have checked it, and it looks really, really nice. So the idea is that I'm going to put the embankment either side, and then we can have like a bus or a truck or something poking through, or whatever it is, or a country road or whatever. That's kind of like the idea of it. But I have tested it, but it will only work with single decker buses. The bridge isn't quite tall enough to take a double decker bus. It's really, really tight. So I haven't tried all my double decker buses because some of them can be, it's like the ones that we have at Stagecoach here are Tridents, which are double deckers, are slightly lower than the ones in London. So the bridge that we have in Basingstoke here can take our Tridents, but if we were to take a London Transport Trident, which is exactly the same bus, because it's just that little bit higher, it wouldn't be able to fit under the bridge. So I'll have to check some of my other buses because some of my deckers might be a bit lower, might be able to sort of fit underneath. But I managed to get this for the layout. So before we go, because this is actually going a lot longer than I expected, I'm just quickly take you to the layout and give you a bit of a layout update. So here in front of you, we've got a multitude of figures, and these are some of my mechanics. Now there was 5 of them, and so I finally got round to painting them. This guy is supposed to be like he's underneath the bus, and then this guy looks like these two look like they're pushing. This one looks like these two look like they're probably pushing. This one looks like he's reaching up for something, and this guy looks like he's reaching in. And then you've got this guy, he's from Bachmann. He's one of the station guards. So I've put them all on acetate so they can stand up. This guy's also from Woodland Scenics, and he came from Ringwood South. So I finally got round to using and painting these figures. And then my last figure, he's got his head buried, as you can see him there in the back of that. There he is. You can see that he's got his head buried in the back of that 388, trying to sort it out and trying to get it going again. So I don't know what's wrong with it, but he's looking into it at the moment. And so that little vehicle that John gave me will be like his little support vehicle, that kind of thing. You can also see the remains of the L plates from the decals that I got off of eBay. And so I've managed, but these are ones I haven't actually used. I think they were too big, I thought, personally, so I didn't use them. But like I said, it's just some of the decals that I got off of eBay. If we go up slightly, you can see that I've got this mini tripod. I don't know if I've showed you this. This is just something I bought off eBay on the cheap, just to sort of see if I can get some slightly different camera shots when I'm doing some recording and doing some filming. So also you can now see that I've just popped the Sainsbury's Arctic back on the layout with the tractor unit that John kindly bought for me for my birthday. So that looks a lot better. On the far end, I know there's a lot of buses to look at, but over their far end, that one at the front, that's the 11 that I showed you earlier. The new one is just there. So that's the new one there. And then down here, I've just popped the training vehicle back So he's just there sort of on the road learning to drive, which I think looks really, really nice. So I think that looks really, really cool. I really like that view. It does look like a really kind of convincing view in my eyes. I just need some people just to put in a park or in the centre area, and that kind of will give it a bit more life. There is 1 or 2 people knocking about, but like I said, there isn't a huge amount. And like I said, here is Matey here. He's underneath the bonnet trying to sort out this 388 bus. Something else I've also done to the layout is I've done motorised the 2 awkward points that were underneath the town scene, and it's quite crude the way I've done it, but it does work. It's basically a stud and probe method. There's kind of pointer, and then you just tap the one that you want. I think it's on. I'm not sure if it's on. Let's just see if you can hear it. You can probably hear it clicking over. So it's just, you just literally just tap it and it will just throw the point. And it's rather crude. It's nothing elegant about it at all, but it does work. This is kind of like a semi-permanent thing. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with this, but now I've worked it out, I might make it a bit better. But for the meantime, this does do the job, so I'm really pleased with that. And this is just for the lighting for the main lights that are on the buildings at the back there, so I can remove the whole building section. And I'll probably tidy that up at some point. So as you can see, this is the view from the sort of back of the layout where I had the cut, where I cut the hole in the back. And basically I used to sort of have to stick my hand in, but as you can see, I fitted the 2 point motors just there and there. And so that means I don't have to get the stick out to reach to try and just flick them over. I could do that before, but it was very awkward. But now you can see that I have actually now ballasted underneath here and tidied all this up under here. So now that all looks so much nicer and tidier. So that's something else that I've done. So you can now see that the point motors that were a bit awkward for me to get to are now sorted. So this concludes the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm really sorry that it's taken a lot longer than I had anticipated. I was expecting it to be half the length that it actually, this video has been, but it's just the way it goes sometimes. So like I said, until the next time we will talk more about the sort of big sort of layout extension in more detail. And like I said, I have actually made a start on it, and it does work to a point, but I'm waiting on a reverse loop module to turn up, which I've also bought, and hopefully, yeah, I'm going to go back down that way, the reverse loop. Anyway, hopefully we'll get through that quite quickly. So like I said, until the next time, it's bye from Milton Hall Farmer. Goodbye.